Hey everyone, Melissa here. I'm at Dragon Man. Just want to give you an update on SB3. Since things have transpired in the last week, it was canceled or postponed for the second time last Tuesday when we were initially supposed to have the rally and everything, and the representatives decided to pull some stuff, and I think it had a lot to do with the fiscal note. Actually, I'm absolutely sure it had to do with that because they needed to figure out how they were going to rationalize the spending and figure out how to fund this bill. So the new hearing has been set. It's Tuesday, March 11th. The rally will be held on the West Steps. A permit has been pulled, so we are allowed to be there to peacefully protest what's happening in Colorado right now, and then we get to testify on SB3. So I, once again, am encouraging you guys all to come on out and show up in support of the 2A community to rally against SB3. All right, so a little bit about the fiscal note. The sponsors needed to, more than likely, figure out how they were going to circumnavigate funds to pass SB3. And from what I'm hearing, it was the governor's idea to fund the bill in this way. But essentially, the short version is that they want to take money from the Wildlife Cash Fund, which is kind of brought in through the Colorado Parks and Wildlife from people applying for hunting and fishing licenses, state park passes, donations, gifts, grants, and more. This money is typically used to support wildlife habitat, public access, wildlife-related recreation, and also, managing our trails, our open spaces, our hiking trails. And they essentially now want to take that money and put it towards a registry that this bill will create, and then also a lot of other expenditures initially upfront that is needed to pass SB3. So in the short version of it is all of the hunters out there, you're going to be funding a bill essentially restricting the guns that you're allowed to buy, and then also funding one of the worst gun control bills that Colorado has ever seen. I am sure that they really don't want people to find out about this, and I'm really sure that they probably don't want hunters to find out about this. But when I found out, I had to expose it because this is absolutely not okay on so many levels, because if that money is not kind of used and allocated correctly, then our parks might suffer, our hiking paths might suffer, a lot of habitats may not be maintained correctly. And then additionally, I believe this Colorado Parks and Wildlife will be responsible for the damages from, when they release the wolves into the wild and what they're causing to farmers and situations like that. So a lot of money will be strained that would have normally funded all of the things that I had just mentioned. To really clarify all of this, so the initial revenue that the sponsors projected this bill bringing in was $4.8 million. The expenditures was $3.9 million. So now they're thinking, cool, we're actually going to have more money left over. Wrong. Part of that money coming in from the revenue is for background checks through CBI. Now, CBI is subject to TABOR, the Colorado Taxpayers Bill of Rights, that the state is required to refund to its taxpayers. Some of the money brought in through Colorado Parks and Wildlife is not subject to TABOR. The money from the Wildlife Cash Fund is not subject to TABOR. The money going to the FBI is not subject to TABOR. However, the money going to CBI is, and that will create a $2.1 million loss from the total revenue. Therefore, the net loss is $1.1 million. So now the sponsors are trying to figure out how can we bring in that $1.1 million because we're losing a significant amount to TABOR. That's where the Colorado Wildlife Cash Fund comes in to play, and that's how they want to circumnavigate the funding from all of the hunters paying for their hunting licenses, their fishing licenses, and all of the additional things that I previously mentioned to then fund this bill and the registry, and you get what I'm saying. So that's what's going on here with SB3. So what started as an initial bill to just ban firearms that don't have a fixed magazine came to evolve to this really, really horrible, problematic bill that is requiring some things that I don't really see the majority of Coloradans being okay with, especially hunters and especially people who enjoy their outdoors space. Now, what happens to it is once it goes to committee and judiciary, then it will, if it passes, then go to the House floor as a whole. If amendments are made, they actually have to, and amendments will be made. And actually in the fiscal note, it says that there has to be an amendment to allow the money to come from this wildlife cash fund. So the bill is really dependent on that amendment being made. Then it will have to actually go back to the Senate for them to vote on it again. It's really interesting because the people who voted for it, who kind of like changed their mind, you know, like Dylan Roberts, it'll be interesting to see if he votes the same way again, or if a lot of people in his district, his constituents, really get on him, then maybe he will actually vote no to retain his seat, to retain his votes, and win back some of those people that he lost when he initially voted for this and went back on his word. So it still has a couple of steps to make before it would actually have to go to the governor and get signed or just sit on his desk. So SB3 is really a interesting bill in the sense that it has a long journey ahead. It's already had a long journey, and hopefully it just dies somewhere along the path and, blows up in flames and becomes this dumpster fire of a bill, because that's what it is. And we would love to see it go away, because at this point it is nothing that Tom Sullivan, I think, initially, had planned for the bill, and now it's just warped into this entirely new, horrible, sort of puzzle piece of a bill, and it really just needs to get scrapped and be done with it. So we'll see what happens, though. It could potentially pass, and immediately if it's passed, I'm sure there will be lawsuits filed, an injunction filed. Hopefully an injunction is put on it so it doesn't go into effect immediately September 1st. But some good organizations kind of fighting for the rights of Colorado residents is, RMGO, honestly, they're testifying on every single one of these bills up at the Capitol. Sometimes they're the only ones there. And I actually really, really appreciate that. Also a new organization called the CSSA. I, am not too knowledgeable on them yet, because I know they kind of transferred ownership, and so I'm still kind of learning about them. However, they do seem like they're really organized, and they are filing a lawsuit against the excise tax. So I am really happy about that, and I definitely want to support that. So we'll see where that goes. And then there's just a whole bunch of other people in Colorado that have been putting out some good, education on what's happening, keeping you guys all informed. Unfortunately, I can't do it all the time, but definitely, keep up on watching videos wherever you can find them on what's going on in Colorado, because things are happening really quickly. And I feel like these are things that some of the, sponsors of this bill especially don't want you to know about. They, fear engaged voters. They fear educated voters. And, that's exactly what the gun community, though, wants, because education is really the best way to, break the walls of ignorance and just allow people to see really what's going on. All right, I previously put out a video on dead air. So yes, we are having the museum grand opening April 26th, 27th, where we'll have the museum tours going on those days. 10 a.m., $20 cash. It's about a 2-hour guided tour. And then you can go out, demo all the different makes and models of dead air suppressors, pistol suppressors and rifles. And stay tuned for the 3-part series. We'll get into pistol and specialty, but then you can form your own opinion, see which one you like. And if you want to purchase it, obviously we process all the paperwork here in-house, and we have everything needed so that, you don't have to go anywhere else and make the process super complicated. In addition to that, we'll also have a machine gun vendor on site that weekend, plus food trucks. The machine gun vendor has like a minigun, an MP7, an STG-44, a Thompson, an M60, a 240, a 249, all the cool stuff. So come on out here, and I hope that I see you guys at the rally Tuesday, March 11th at the Capitol, and hopefully you guys all get a chance to testify. Thanks for watching, and take care.